Hey guys, it's Scott. I'm going to be doing a quick follow-up to a discussion about my feelings or my anticipation as what's going to be happening with the American Social Security as far as it pertains to expats and the direction I think I'm going. One of the viewers, one of you guys, had the people who live in my little box had some feedback and thought I was wrong on some things. So I want to follow up and explain a few things and maybe point it out. Maybe I missed something. But I also want to point out today is Thursday. I'm Scott L. Miller. This is the Scott L. Miller vlog from Nicaragua, and today is Thursday. I'm really scrambling to get this show out. It's coming out as I'm prepping to do the live stream, so I'm going to try my best to get this uploaded for you guys. But it is Thursday. We do live streams on Thursday, so if you're seeing this on the day that it releases, watch it, finish it, and go check out the live stream, or go watch the live stream and then come back and watch this. That's okay too. But we do lives normally on Thursday evenings. We go for several hours. It is exhausting for me. It is so much fun. It is my chance to disconnect from all my other work for the week and just spend time with you guys. And we have a live back and forth and everything. So if you're seeing this some other time, look for us on Thursday evenings. But if you're seeing this on Thursday, we're probably going live by the time you see this. So definitely come. Either watch the show or get ready, mentally prepared, go grab a beer. The show will be coming up really soon. But so probably about a month or two ago, I'm not exactly sure when it was out, I did a video talking about the changes that were coming in Social Security. And a lot of people posted to me that they were really afraid or concerned or had questions about how it was going to affect them as expats. And I pointed out that really expats are getting kind of the good end of the stick on this whole situation, and that Social Security is unlikely to be affected by that for expats. And so I got this feedback, and I want to read this and then explain kind of, because I think there's some context missing. And I don't have, unfortunately, in the copy I grabbed, I don't have the poster's name. He said, "I don't think this video will age very well. Let me start by saying I envy you living outside the United States, especially now. Also, I'm in the process of considering whether to expatriate and retire outside the country, at least for the next 4 years. However, I completely disagree with your analysis of whether or risk of Trump or Musk will attempt to adversely affect your Social Security as an expat." So first, I just want to say my thing was that I don't think they would have an effect on expats versus the whole population. At no point, at least not intentionally, did I review the possibility that Social Security itself would be impacted. The Social Security may go away. Social Security may be reduced, but not specifically for expats. So my assessment was in the context of expats compared to the regular population, not whether it be, and I don't know if that's what he meant here. It's hard sometimes to get that context across, but I just want to clarify what I'm saying is that if Social Security goes down for everyone and expats are affected, yeah, that could happen. But what I was saying is that expats are not going to be targeted within Social Security, maybe for other things, but not within Social Security. So if Social Security is impacted, only if everyone else is impacted will expats be affected. You're attempting to apply logic, decency, and precedence to a president who is delusional, incompetent, and erratic, and not really in control, vis-a-vis Musk. Your video sounds more like you hope things will work out. Well, obviously, I do hope that they will work out. That logical, right? All evidence since January 20th shows such hope was unwarranted. We are now in the impossible universe you described, a complete disregard for law, legal rulings, regulations, and most norms. Okay, so I mean, that's basically all true, right? So I'm not disagreeing with those statements, but I think the important things are a couple things. One, certainly I am hopeful, right? But two, as an expat, we have not been adversely affected by pretty much anything. Everything that's happening in the U.S., all those things that people who are now, I feel badly for people who are in the U.S., and I don't want bad things to happen there. So the fact that bad things are happening in the U.S. is still bad. Okay, we understand that. That you're paying more for things, that the economy is crumbling, that the cost of living is skyrocketing, all negatives, and we're completely on board with that. But as an expat, being completely selfish, right, taking that perspective, basically everything bad, everything negative happening in the U.S., the collapse of the economy, the higher prices, are all making life better for everyone who lives outside the U.S., both in absolute terms. We're getting the benefits of the collapse of the U.S. economy. Like other countries are focusing on us more. We're getting more business, more investment. The economy is growing other places. And relative, the U.S. is in collapse. Other places are not. So our success or our quality of life vis-a-vis the United States is improving. So both right now, so far since January 20th, the absolute and the relative for those of us living outside of the U.S. is generally better than it has been. So that's an important thing to understand. If you're living inside the United States, you're seeing all these negatives, and we see them. We see them as things happening afar. But to us, we're kind of reaping the benefits. When food prices go up in the U.S., food prices kind of stay stable here. When products get more expensive in the U.S., when tariffs go into place, that means places are more likely to ship directly tariff-free to us, and so we have seen an improvement in shipping routes and availability of products. Now, things we buy from the U.S., those are going up in price, but it just means we're going to focus on buying less from the U.S. So, yeah, we may be negatively impacted, but not specifically, right? So we as expats are generally seeing our lives improving or hedging against them becoming more negative, right? So we've actually seen very different things, so which should encourage you that, yes, moving abroad is good answer. Now, he points out that, lack of rule of law, things are happening irrationally and so forth. And I think in the video, there is this feeling, a lot of people, I think, reacted to the video that there's a sense that, like, expats are a lot of people view expats as a group that they want to punish. And then we kind of pointed out in the video that expats are really not a group that gets punished in these kinds of scenarios. And I think that a lot of people are like, well, just you wait, or, you think you're isolated now or whatever. And they're thinking that an irrational or erratic or whatever government is going to suddenly decide to target expats. And certainly that's possible. But and yes, we can say there's no precedent for that. But there's no precedent for a lot of things going on, so maybe the lack of precedent doesn't protect us. Totally understood, makes sense. But what I think is being missed, I hope, which was his point, right, that there's a lot of hope. And of course there is, right? We're trying to predict the future, but I think we have a lot of reason to be able to do so, and that is that there is a predictable behavior that is often missed. And we say, he's erratic, he's crazy, he's illogical. Yeah, you can say all those things, but there's a predictable pattern that's always going to be followed, or at least always has been, and that is that the ultra rich, not the 1%, but the 0.1% or maybe the 0.01%, and it's tempting to throw out the oligarchs and say just the billionaires is the new phrase that people say, but I don't think it's that much, right? There's a large group of cronies who are in large number of wealth categories, but not necessarily in those numbers, and that is the group that is consistently being catered to, and always has been. Consistent. This is important. There is a precedent that can be followed. We can see the pattern over time, and it's always been the same. And so because we have this pattern to look for, this pattern to follow, this pattern to work with, we can say, okay, so how do you predict a group of people who is likely to benefit from that pattern over time? And you can say, well, yeah, the ultra-rich is one. But one of the ways that the ultra-rich generally benefits itself across large, sweeping decision-making policies, because simply saying the super-rich get benefits generally goes over poorly and doesn't work well. Especially because if you are in that super rich category, you want to be protected in case you fall out of it. You want to be protected to keep yourself in it, but you also want to be protected if you fall out of it. So they want to make laws and have things that their knowledge allows them to manipulate as well. And one of the things that is very consistently useful as a tool for doing this is that the super rich generally manage to behave as expats, or expats manage to behave much like the super rich. There's a lot of overlap there. And both categories, the super rich and expats, are relatively small categories. Yes, there's way more expats than there are super rich, of course. But there are many expats who don't know how to leverage the advantages of being expats, and so don't. There are some that leverage very few. But there is a lot of behavioral overlap between expats and the ultra-rich. And so there's a tendency, a very strong one, to not punish expats, but to benefit expats in many things, because they represent a very high earning or very high earning potential or a very influential group of the population. And so because of this, when we look at the patterns and say, well, the things that happen from the government generally benefit the rich. Yeah, absolutely. But what is a mechanism for doing that? Well, one is to, target regions of the country where the rich tend to live and push benefits there. We see that happen. But also and you see this in voting, right? Where do we push voting rights? Well, we push for better voting rights where the rich and those that we want to protect live, and we lessen voting rights in places where the people we don't want to have with power have votes. So unequal voting, that's a big thing. But around the world, one of the things that they can do is by protecting expats, they automatically benefit the rich, because the rich have the capability to be expats when it benefits them. So creating a benefit that is difficult to leverage if you're just a regular person. You could do it, but it takes a lot of effort. But if you're rich, you can easily do it. So one of the things that happens is you're super rich, you want some tax benefits, well, you can go be an expat and come up with all these ways to make yourself more tax protected while remaining an American, while remaining able to vote, while remaining in Social Security, while remaining all these things. So it's very rare that an expat community, that a large group of expats around the world is going to be targeted for negative behaviors from the government unless it's just in line with the rest of the population. If everybody's being targeted, sure. So we're not saying that we are not affected by the same things affecting everyone else. In some cases we are. But what we're saying is that in very rare cases are we negatively affected more so or in isolation from the rest of the population. So if Social Security is going to go down overall, yeah, we could be included. If Social Security is going to go away across the board, yes, we could be included. But if Social Security is going to remain at 100% of what it is today or 80% of what it is today, I'm really confident that we as expats are going to remain just as good as everyone else or better. Not very likely better, but that's within reason that we'd be better. But I don't think it's within reason that we'd be worse. But many people, in an attempt, right, and you can tell how much confidence they have in this, because if they were confident, they wouldn't need to threaten you with it. They wouldn't need to scare you with it. They'd know that you'd know it was a risk. But you don't think it's a risk because it makes no sense. So people who want to create fear come up with these stories to tell you that, oh, they're going to go after the expats. They want to punish the expats. No, they don't. They have absolutely no interest in punishing expats because the expats represent a very large overlap with their constituency. And a part of the constituency that consistently, predictably, with precedent, is getting benefits from the system. So I think we have a really strong logical argument that maybe was missed in the original discussion that talks about why it doesn't matter if there's precedent on an absolute scale, there is on a relative, or vice versa. And we don't need to worry about if they're irrational, because they may be irrational, but always within this predictable behavior. Now, maybe at some point that predictable behavior will change, but so far it has not. It has been very, very consistent, and I think people just miss that because on the surface, on the facade, there's this unbelievable amount of irrational, unpredictable behavior. But when we look at it in the long view and really dig into behaviors, it is clear that the combination of events is being coordinated by somewhere with a consistent message, with a consistent vision, and it actually is coming true. It's just not one that anyone likes, and people want everyone wants you to be distracted and make you think it's irrational. Right? There's a lot of push for that because that hides that there is a group consistently benefiting from this and clearly orchestrating one way or another. So I think that I remain confident that unless Social Security itself gets attacked, which absolutely could happen, right? I'm Gen X. We grew up with the assumption we would never have Social Security. I was told as a very young child that Social Security was a scam by the baby boomers to extract wealth from future generations and that it would never be available because the concept of it was not viable for my generation. All of the system was designed around how the boomers worked. And by having a smaller generation of children, and we had a smaller generation of children, and they had a smaller generation of children, we don't have the means of having Social Security in the way that the baby boomers did because they were a bigger generation than their parents and they got to, they paid a small amount to their parents expecting a large amount from us. They didn't have as many kids as they were. And so now we are paying the price. And so when I was little, they told me straight up in school, there's no way Social Security is going to survive to the point that you retire. It will disappear just as you're getting there, and you will pay into it your entire life, and they're going to steal that money from you. That was a given my entire childhood. So the idea that we're getting closer, and I'm still a ways away, but the idea that Social Security is on the horizon and that it's still even an option is like mind-blowing. Like, seriously? What are the chances that's still around? So we have that expectation in my generation that we're never going to get those benefits. That it was going to shrink or go away completely was just, it was a foregone conclusion. So that might happen. Yeah, of course. But it's not going to happen just for the expats. If anything, it's going to happen last for the expats, because we're the category of people that seem to do the most benefit on average for everyone, and or are in the most power position to influence things and protect ourselves. So that is my takeaway, and why I think that my prediction remains true, even though this viewer had completely correct points and looked at it logically. I think this piece of what I was using as the basis of my decision making was missed. All right, guys, thanks for joining me. Remember the live stream. Get ready to head on over there. We'll be there soon, if not already. So just join us. It's a lot of fun. Have questions. Talk to other people on the chat. Have questions ready. We'll talk in real time. It's fun. And if you don't make it this week, make it next week. Just make it a regular thing. We have a regular group that's on. It's a great group hanging out together. And while we're on there, we'll help people get signed up for Nika Graham, Nika Laura, which require approval to join, because we try to keep the spam out of there. It's been great. We have a lot of new people every week, and that's really cool. We had new people today already. And, we'll crack a Tonya and talk about whatever topics you guys want in real time. It really is a lot of fun. And we go on for a long time. So sit down at a TV, make yourself comfortable, grab a snack or whatever. And, like and subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ScottAllenMiller. Any information you want, from how to contact me to how to send in a video question or anything like that, down in the show notes. Trust me, lots of good stuff. The GoFundMe for my producer, Marcela, is down there. She has stage 4 Hodgkin lymphoma. We're trying to raise money to help her and her family. She's a single mom. As she goes through that, things are going well at this point, but she's not quite at the point where she can give us big feedback yet. And if you'd like to leave a comment, that'd be wonderful. Say hello, whatever, just down there in the show notes. Of course, watch another episode, share with someone, but today's the live stream day, so make sure you do that as well. Thanks for joining me. I will see all of you hopefully in just a few minutes, but if not, I will see you tomorrow.